to Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Debra, your host. Welcome to the show. So excited to talk to today's guest. She is the queen of all things digital, SEO, Google My Business, all of that branding that is so, so important when your creative advertising comes out. They got to be able to find you, and she will set you up for all of that and is an expert. And I know you guys have lots of questions because there's always so much happening and changing all the time. So let's dig in, shall we? Marilyn Jenkins is a digital growth strategist with a career spanning back to the early 90s, same as me, and the founder of MJ Media Group and Law Marketing Zone. She specializes in all aspects of digital marketing to drive business success. With a proven track record of helping law firms achieve remarkable growth, Ms. Jenkins crafts strategic marketing plans that lead her clients to exceed seven-figure revenues, with some realizing return as high as 14 times. She is the host of the podcast Leadership in Law, featuring twice weekly interviews exploring key topics that matter most to legal professionals. She is a successful author. Her 3 books are available on Amazon, and we'll link to those in the show notes. Please welcome Marilyn Jenkins to Deals with Heels. Yay!
Thank you.
Goes
Thank you so
well.
much.
We have been trying to get together and get her on the show for almost a year, it feels like. So I'm so happy.
It feels like it.
It does. It does. So I'm so happy to have you on the show. We always like to start and hear a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and how you became such an expert in what you do. So give us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. I've kind of been an entrepreneur since I was a little kid. My grandmother was one of those that had a fruit tree in her yard that no one else had. So you sold it on the school bus going to school, right? Traded it for lunch money. So, but I've always been into technology. And so I always knew I would be involved in computers. I got a degree in programming, and I started working in digital marketing back in the days when people knew they needed a website but didn't know why. And so you got them a website, and then they needed traffic to the website. So you got them SEO and all of those different things. And through referrals, just grew and grew my business. And I've been doing consulting in one form or another, like I said, since the late 90s. And, you just to do it this long, as you know, you learn a lot. And it's hard to disseminate that, but it's easy to actually make it work for clients. And we just grow with the times, like, the new Google Business Profile features, and then of course AI and that sort of thing. And I'm happy to say that I do have some legacy clients and I work with a lot of local businesses, and I do brand to law.
I love that. I think the legal profession in particular struggles with how to advertise. I think they either they fall into 2 main groups, like the ones that are like, now, if you're, the hard sell,
Yeah.
personal injury that are on TV all the time. And then you have the people that just don't want to be that. Right.
Right.
Like 2 groups.
Literally, that's the 2 sides of the street. Exactly.
And it's important to promote your business, and it doesn't have to be so loud, right? It doesn't have to be that at all, which is why SEO is so important. But I want to start talking about Google My Business. It's such a big thing, and Google is definitely the juggernaut of all the search engines. It's not the only one, and it's not the best one for every single demo, but Google My Business is such a huge thing. Tell us about all the new stuff that's happening with Google My Business.
Yeah, so I believe a lot of people felt like when it was Google My Business. I think Google Business Profile is the 8th or 9th iteration of Google Places. I mean, and they keep changing the name of it, right? So a lot of people I know thought of Google My Business as just a place to store reviews. That's it. They did nothing else. With Google My Business, Google Business Profile, it is so much more. You've got the opportunity to put products and services on, where at one point you can also do posts. So posts used to expire after a week, which is silly. Now they expire after 6 months. So if you get on a process like, say, your blog posting, and you put it on your blog and your Google Business Profile, you'll have 26 articles before they start, or you'll always have 26 articles. They'll just rotate off, right? But each article, each service, each product, everything you tell Google tells it more of the types of searches you need to be found in.
That's
right?
awesome.
So yeah, and in certain areas, like when you choose your category, some places it used to be just 3. And I say some places because Google globally rolls out new features, right? There might be a new feature in some locations that none of us know about yet because we haven't seen it, right? But I've seen people that have 7 categories to choose from. And it just kills me to see a company like a law firm that just have lawyer as their category, as opposed to family lawyer, divorce lawyer. You get super specific. And I tell them to choose the category based on the priority of work you want, right? If you're an Italian restaurant, do you want to be pizza delivery? Is that what you prefer? Put that first, right? I mean, just think of that when you're choosing your categories. But I think the big breakthrough is post services and products for what's going on.
Services is such a big deal. You used to not be able to get that. You could get some stuff on like a restaurant, like sometimes they could have a menu button or they could have a couple of different things, but services is such a big deal for the consumer. So I can see now what's happening or what they have available. So I know if this junk delivery guy also can bring me a dumpster, or do they only just,
Yeah.
those types of things without having to actually go onto the website. So Google trying to keep everybody compact into their platform. So when
Yeah, and the whole thing is zero click searches, right? So they want to give you the answers without you having to leave. So say I'm the local bakery, but I also do wedding cakes and birthday cakes or catering. Well, there's 4 categories right there. So you have to think about that. And the category isn't just that 1 or 2 words. You can actually have a paragraph that has your keywords in it.
That's
So
fantastic. And that's a big change. So when you search and you get the Google profile business pro, where are their posts? How does that show up now?
it is, I think it's down to the bottom now. Okay, I'm going to say I think because I've got 3 different clients and each one has a different management profile or portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Portal. I can get the word in a minute. So sometimes the extra things are in a different place. So they want to feature your details, your hours, obviously, which are hugely important, and then reviews. And then there's more stuff at the bottom before they recommend other people.
Okay.
So, and also when you click on the Google Business Profile from it being on the right hand side, you can pop it up larger and get the more of the features.
And I know
But
that
the key for you as the business owner is you're telling Google more.
Yes.
So that they know where to show you more.
And it's important to answer questions too on your services.
Yes.
Because you see that AI feature where it gives you a summary of what the search is that you asked for. Those come from websites. That's why it's got the little link thing on it. So if you answer it perfectly and they choose your answer, you're going to be the one that they put there. So be careful how you word that messaging in there. But if you word it to where it answers a generic question, then you can pop over into that part too. And I know there's people that specialize in that content-based SEO to make sure
and we're looking at that and doing that. And I started doing a little bit more detailed FAQs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do something like, so there's the Q&A function on your Google Business Profile as well. And I've had business owners say, well, why would I ask a question and answer it? Well, don't I just wait for somebody to ask me a question? No, everybody that I know has an FAQ. Every client has a question, maybe 3, maybe 10, depending on what your business is. You should be adding an FAQ, question and answer, every week or every couple of weeks so that there's a consistent update in your Google Business Profile.
And a good trick for knowing what questions to ask is just go into the Google search bar and start typing out a question for your business, and all of the pre-fills will fill in.
Exactly.
Aren't those the most frequently asked ones about?
Yep.
See, perfect. So answer those and do it well. And I think that the algorithms really love that too. Now, does the Google Business Profile remove the map requirement? So for a while when you did the Google Business Profile, it didn't like it if you didn't have a retail address because it came from places. The origination of it was like integrating with their map, and I need to go how to go somewhere. But businesses like mine and probably yours too, I don't want people dropping by because my studio is at my house and I don't want to be there for that. So and my clients had troubles with that Google didn't want to verify their business because it wasn't an actual retail location. And I was able to get mine done, but I know people are losing their whole Google profile sometimes because of it. So does this Google Business Profile from Google My Business, does that eliminate that requirement, or what are the tricks?
No.
How do they fix that when it's happening?
Well, there was a big update in June that if you were doing anything on your Google Business Profile, like adding categories or something in June, when there was like a 6-week period they were rolling out that update. During that time, if you were making certain edits on your Google Business Profile, they threw you back into verification, which is never fun, right? And now they've changed. It used to be they'd mail you a postcard, right? No. Now it's a 90-second video all in one take, all done in the app on your phone. It's ridiculous. But if you don't have, or you don't want your address, so say you've got a real business, but you don't want your address shown, you're just not going to show up in the closest or the top of the maps. It'll be good for your SEO for you to be found in the organic searches, but not in the maps because they can't pin you.
Right. And I remember when I did my verification, I had to show where I was located to show it was a real business.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the whole, like the outside address that's actually on my mailbox, not my house. And then I walked in without showing, they didn't want anything. They didn't want anything visible that was recognizing as a neighborhood or anything. And then my business with that same address on the envelope. And I was able to do that. That was in 2022. And I was able to verify it and then say I didn't want my address published.
Yes.
But I don't know if you can
do that. You can still do that, but the question is if you are required to do now, and also they're throwing AI to do a lot of the verification now, which is used to be Google Business Profile for the verification. You could literally speak to someone. I know that sounds odd with Google, but there were real people there. Now, when it comes to the verification, unless you scale, you get turned down or whatever, and you elevate the support ticket, you have to like do it or you don't get verified. So you have to escalate to talk to someone higher and actually get a person. But it's the videos, it's got to show, it's the same as like with a business. You've got to show where you work, where can customers come, where can customers not go. But they were at one point limiting the video to 90 seconds in one take. So I had a friend that had a business out of their home as well, but their mailbox was a half mile down the road. So it was on a farm, right in the country. Well, you got to start there and then you got to get to the house. It was just, he can never get it done in 90 seconds and you can't turn the camera off. It's got to be all in one take. So
yeah, that's what I did. You got my feet walking when I walked into and then I walked right up to my desk. Here's my desk where I work. I did the whole thing to do it that way. So I want to ask you about something else. This was a couple of years ago when AI was really starting to get out into creative stuff. And I had a client and he built his website using AI.
Okay.
And he could not get Google to verify his business because back then, now things have probably are better now and different now, but at the time it was like, well, the whole purpose of Google My Business verification is to verify you're a real business and not a bot. And your whole website was written by a bot. And
he didn't edit it at all. I mean, you just took it and copy and pasted it right
out. He did the whole thing just like that. And Google was like, he didn't have a location. Right. So he couldn't pin it to a retail location and his website was built by a bot, was built completely by.
He just filled the exactly what they were looking for a scam.
Exactly. And so all the people out there that are thinking about doing all the great things with AI, it can do all of those things, but don't rely on it completely and remove all of the human element out of your website. One, that's terrible marketing and storytelling, but also look, it can create problems because it makes it look like you're not a person on a technical level because they can tell the difference.
And there's websites out there that you can run through, like I believe it's like Humanize, and they'll test and see if it does look like it was written. I mean, and keep in mind, it's like if you take what AI writes and edit it, and you don't have to do like a 60% edit, but it doesn't sound right. Okay. I've got this ton of words in my chat GPT that in my settings never use these terms, never use an M dash, all of these things. So I don't have to say that every time. But I mean, because it says, how many times have you seen in today's digital age? Really? I mean,
right. It's like when, back when we were entering the 21st century, back at the change of going into 2000s and Bill Clinton was running for president and all of that, because Marilyn and I are old, y'all. Yeah. And it was like, that was like the thing. Everything started with in the 21st century, we're the whole thing. Now it's in the new modern digital world and all of that. Okay, well, that makes sense. So Google My Business is important. And it also, a lot of smaller search engine things feed from Google if you don't go in and do those individually as well.
You don't have to anymore. Remember how we used to go to all the different ones and do stuff for it? I think if you do traditional SEO type stuff, make sure your keywords are correct. Maybe do like what we call a city blitz, like a service and city pages for your specific area.
Mm-hmm.
Bing's going to pick it up, Yahoo's going to pick it up, but really focus on giving Google what they want from your website, and then use the Google Business Profile. And then of course, directories, make sure you're listed. And the one big mistake that I found that people make in their Google Business Profile is not using their actual business name, right? So, and that sounds silly, but you remember back in the day of Yellow Pages, people would be like, I'm AAAA Plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they go get they could then pay for you just think about, say, I'm Bob's Plumbing in my town, in this city, in this state. That's not the name of your company. So that'll get you kicked out of verification as well. You need to have your actual company name.
It will. And if you're a tradesperson, the Google service ads part of it, first of all, you should always be doing those. If you're a tradesperson,
Yes.
that is always top on the Google search page.
Local service ads are always going to beat anything you do.
And they have a separate verification than the Google Business Profile because they're guaranteeing, they're checking licenses. They're doing things that the Google
That's
Business
a full
Profile
background
doesn't.
check.
But it better match your Google Business Profile, because if it doesn't, then they won't link your reviews and you won't, right? So be sure all of that matches. And when you're in there and they're actually verifying your license, they're going to look at how you registered your business.
Yeah. Google Ads are now doing that. If you start a new Google Ads account, the last couple of clients that we've added to PPC did that. We had to send them, the IRS sends you a form that you've got your EIN
right,
assigned. It has to be that name. You can't say I'm this, and this LLC if when you got your EIN, you were this, and this.
Now you can't do a DBA, and you have to register the official trademark.
You have to do an official DBA.
But if you do that, then you can tie it all together with paperwork. Yes. Because I had a client that they started out with a turf and tree because they did landscaping and trees. And then they decided to just start doing trees. And so they dropped it, but they didn't bother to change anything legally. They just filed everything because, right, that's the easy way to do it. It's not that big of a deal. But none of it matched, and they suddenly stopped getting their service ads. And that was a big deal for that trades business. And when I investigated, it was because they didn't have enough reviews. And I'm like, they have 153 5-star reviews. What are you talking about? Well, they had specifically moved their business and the addresses didn't match. And when we went to verify the new address in, then they caught the Secretary of State. It was the whole thing. So I learned that all through a client, but it's hard to figure all of that out. So make sure it all matches everywhere, not just for consistency in SEO, which is incredibly important, but because you might get kicked. I mean, they're going to eventually verify and bind it. They're getting so much better.
And that's because of so many scam things and sites, they are getting a little bit more. This was the first time I'd seen a few weeks ago, the first time I've seen having to get an official government document. And then the opportunity is, they let you know it could be 3 more steps to get your Google Ads account verified. You may even have to send your driver's license. So they're making sure that people are real people and businesses are real businesses.
And I appreciate
local service ads, definitely.
And you don't want to, you think of it in this term, you don't want somebody to be able to use a business name similar to yours and be able to count your reviews and be able to get credit based on those things. And so that's what it feels like you're doing when you've modified your business name. It's like, oh, are they trying to, like, you're not the same. If you're not the same, they don't have any other way to know because they're not here locally. So God, that's such great advice. I love it. And all of that is great, not just for the legal profession, obviously, for every single person out there that has a business. All that Google My Business.
Absolutely. It's so important for local business. And the big thing about the Google Business Profile, as complicated as it can be to get verified and the rules and stuff to stay verified, it's free.
Right.
I mean, you're telling the largest search engine in the world everything you can be found for, and you're consistently updating it because remember, engagement is important. Google is number one because of good user experiences, and you prove that you're interested in that by updating your Google Business Profile every week, every couple of weeks, consistently updating something, and you can actually outrank someone who has more reviews if you have more interaction. and you're giving
So
them more data.
paying attention, interacting as
You
your
give them what
business.
they want.
Yeah, so they can see this is a good business. They're coming in, they're updating their profile. They love that. It's like the person we all love it when people pay attention to us, that we want to pay attention to us. So if you
Yes.
think of it as that, the Google algorithm is like suddenly you're paying attention to it and it loves
Mm-hmm.
it. It's like, look, they like us, they're paying attention to us. So it will make it really important. And it feeds so many other things. It feeds
Mm-hmm.
so many other things. One that's especially important is Yahoo. A lot of people don't realize that if you're marketing to people over the age of 55, that only about 25 to 30% use Google, over 60% use Yahoo to search. And I was like, I'm 58. I'm not searching on Yahoo. I was thinking,
No. Well, I don't use Bing either, but if you got a Windows machine and you don't know to install Zoom,
Google.
Chrome, you're going to have Microsoft Edge that goes to Bing.
Right. I use Bing on my laptop every single time I get a Windows update. It re-updates my homepage and they make it look very similar to Google, but I'm an Android phone user, so it's always Google on my phone right now.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking and I was like, I am not. That's weird. I can't do they even search on Yahoo anymore? I didn't even think about it. But you know what? I am on the Yahoo News page every day. I like to read news on it because it's very non-biased and just all kind of crammed in there together and I can
Yeah.
choose. And I thought, damn, I am in that age group. I'm just not searching.
It is one of the most expansive news pages, I have to say. But Microsoft Edge's homepage has taken Yahoo's book and played it the same way.
Yeah, I've
If you
noticed it.
if you compare the news, their home pages for the news, super super similar.
I noticed that I got sucked into the rabbit hole of the Microsoft News page and that on their little scroll, I'm a sucker for that. I am. I must be in that
It's like,
demo.
well, did I miss something? Go back. Yeah, they've totally taken the Yahoo page and copied it.
Well,
Excuse me, modeled it.
they must be going after that older demo that I fit in as well. But I couldn't believe it. And I did the research, but Yahoo is going to populate from Google and your Google My Business and your website also. I think they also are with Yelp, but I'm not super familiar with Yelp. So
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on that by any means. And so anyway, that's all great stuff too. Great stories. I wanted to ask you too about AI. I know that there's some new like AI SEO services you can get that'll help you keep things maintained. And what are some other ways that we can utilize AI to keep up with our listings and our SEO?
We have two new terms. Don't you know it?
Oh,
Every
let's
time
have
there's new
it.
technology. So now they're calling SEO GEO. So SEO would be your nationwide global people, right?
Mm-hmm.
GEO is your geographical, right? Search engine optimization, which is local. It's what we're all doing, right? AEO is the next step. Now that's answer engine optimization. So, when you go to Google now and you ask a question, in the past, that zero click search was if you asked a question and there was a YouTube video that answered it, they'd give you the video time stamped at your answer. Well, now what they've done is they moved that down. What's on top is AI. So think of that. So our AEO not only helps get you answered there, also gets you when someone says, "Hey Google," or "Hey Siri," or "Alexa." She might wake up if I say
I
that
know,
loud.
right?
If a question is asked and you've answered it on your website and it's relevant in your local area, you have the opportunity of being that answer. So what we're doing for our clients is we're doing, like I said, FAQs that are human language. How would somebody ask a question and how you answer the question. So just recently we updated 20 FAQs in 5 different categories in human speak, not high tech or anything, how people would get it. Now, the other thing is if you want to take that one step further and like make a short article, 3 or 4 paragraphs answering that question, you want to summarize it at the top with the question and the answer, and then go into detail. That gives you another opportunity to be that AI snippet.
And that you think
Okay,
they're posting as a blog on their website?
could be a lot of them are. If you link to them, it's going to be an article, and then there's some agencies that are going one step further and saying if you do a short video that asks the question and answers the question, then you transcribe the video. So all on the same page, you've got the FAQ, question and short answer, summary, small article, and video.
Wow.
Yes, pain in the butt. But if there are 10 normal questions that your customers always ask about your service, wouldn't it be worth spending, I don't know, an hour this week in doing one, an hour next week in doing one, an hour next week until you're 10 done?
And
How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You don't have to do
having a
10 videos
video
at a
explain the frequently asked question in that spot, I mean, video just drives everything. If you've got video and it loads and it runs like it's supposed to, they really love that. So I can see that being really effective too.
Of course, then you want to host your video on YouTube, which,
Because
Google
it's
owns
owned by
YouTube, and that's
Google.
it's the second largest search engine. Feed the beast as much as you can.
Yes. We're getting closer to the end, but I wanted to ask you about, and it may not be something that you are aware of or can want to talk about, but about the antitrust ruling against Google, and that the federal government is breaking them up, similar to they did AT&T and Southwestern, but for us it was Southwestern Bell, but Ma Bell over all of the regional bells. That's how the regional bells became. And I haven't heard of them splitting Google and YouTube, but if you're going to break something up, the first and second search engines are going to be probably the two. But
That
I
seems
have
like
heard
that
of
would
them
be.
that they were trying to force them to sell Chrome, their
Yes,
the
I've
whole
heard that.
internet thing. And I have not heard anything else about any of the antitrust stuff, but I don't think anyone should have to worry about any of those things happening. But
No,
I'm curious. I'm always so curious about all of the knowledge and if we see anything coming down that would affect in the future.
I think that's going to be put to the back burner. Just this is my personal opinion, because before I would think realistically, if you look at the impact on society, Chrome and Google are way less impact than Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp.
I think so too.
Okay. Do you want to see the impact? They've got data. They've got more people on WhatsApp. They're not charging for it. They're gathering data. They're using that data on Facebook and Instagram to serve you up ads, right? So who's worse for society? A business with a browser, or a business that is gathering data on you just to sell ads to you?
Right. I think all the search engines are probably doing that as well. But I think part of it is too, a lot of that is driven by huge corporations that have a lot of lobbyist money. And when you're on that
Mm-hmm.
level, I think that could be driven kind of by Microsoft too, trying to take
Mm-hmm.
market share, and those kind of things happen on that level too. But I had somebody ask me about it not long ago, and I was like, I don't think you should worry about it, but
No, I'm not thinking so. I mean, in that instance, then think about the iPhone and Safari,
right.
right? What's the real difference? Chrome has all the extensions. Well, Safari has extensions as well, but it's not been heavily marketed for like all the things we use Chrome for with those extensions.
Right.
So,
So, and I
but
think,
on the Mac, people would much rather use Safari and those extensions than Chrome in many cases.
right.
So I don't think it's something I'm not going to look for another. I'm using my Chrome. I think we're good to go.
I'm using it it's frustrating when you're not using it and they switch you back and then none of your favorite pages are saved. And it's so frustrating for them to automatically make those changes. That's the part they should stop having to
I
do.
agree. I
Right.
agree. Don't update my computer settings just because you update. Yeah.
I mean, I updated your browser got updated too. That doesn't mean I want it for my default on
Right.
there. I do want to touch a little bit on your book. You have a new book. You have 3 books, but you have a new book that's out. Tell us about that a little bit.
So I wrote it. I did a book for 2025 local visibility. So my previous book was profit driven digital marketing, and it goes through everything from paid ads all the way through SEO. But what I really wanted to focus on is the Google Business Profile and local marketing as a whole, like getting backlinks to your website. That doesn't have anything to do with your Google Business Profile, but think like if you sponsor a little league, if you're a member of the chamber, start exchanging links with people, those little things like that. So it goes through all the different types of things that you as a small business can do to get local visibility, because your business may not be 100 miles away. Your customer is 20 miles away within a 20-mile or 15-mile radius. With a dentist, it might be even less because nobody's going to drive 25 miles when I got a dentist right over here.
Right. I
Right?
think 5 to 7 for any of that
Exactly.
chiropractor, dentist, any of those things that you want around where you are. That's what I always am like when we do geofencing and all of that. I'm like, man, 10-mile maximum. on those
Yeah,
types of
exactly. I
businesses.
mean, 7 to 10 miles is going to be your absolute sweet spot. Just keep it within that. And that's what the book 2025 Digital Marketing, Local Visibility, Outshine, Outpace, and Outwin. So it's available on Amazon, and it's under my name, Marilyn, and it's spelled like Monroe, Marilyn Jenkins. So you can find the book there. And I just hope you get some great ideas. If you need help, then there's a way of contacting me in the book. These are the services I provide my clients. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's a great book to walk you through a lot of the easy things that are free to get more visibility for your website and your Google Business Profile.
And you guys, when lots of entrepreneurs are good at the thing they started a business doing, right? They're
Right.
really good at those things, but that doesn't mean that everyone expects you to be able to do all of these things by yourself. But I promise you, there are people that are listening that don't even know what she means when she says a backlink.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
right, because you're a new
Yeah.
business owner, that just is a foreign term for a lot of people if you haven't had any experience in it. So that's why her book is really important. You can read it. It's simple and it has instructions and it explains all of those things. You will learn so much from it. So I hope that everyone will check that out. And we will link to that in the show notes for you. So look for that also. And I want to finish up though with, I'm so intrigued with all of the new AI stuff on the Google business profile. It's so hard not to say Google My Business. We just
No.
got used to saying that. It doesn't seem like it's been that long since they switched it. But what are your top 3 tips for on your Google profile to rank higher? Your top 3 things for a small business?
Get your category correct. Make sure your name is correct and update your hours every time there might be a change. Now, keep in mind, there's a holiday coming up, right? So if you've got a verified Google Business Profile, you probably got an email this week asking you if you're open on Labor Day. So when a holiday comes around, Google will actually say when you most recently updated your Google Business Profile. So if I'm looking for, say, a dentist, I need an emergency dentist or whatever, and I see that the third one just updated their Google Business Profile and they're actually open on Monday, I will call them first.
Now, will Google rank them first because they know for sure they're open on a holiday?
It's possible. It also depends on how much, if they've recently updated, they probably update often. And again, engagement is their thing, right? So the more you engage with your Google Business Profile, the more you're telling them where you should be found in a search, right? But they also will give you preference because you are doing what they want. And you can guarantee that if your competition is a franchise, they're probably not doing these things.
No kidding. And
And especially if they're a corporate office, they're not doing these things.
I just had this. So I have a really good memory for most things that I learn in my life. And when you said something, it made me think of when I was an athlete. They would say, well, be coachable. Go to the
Mm-hmm.
gym, get the individual instruction, go spend time so they can see you doing and practicing so they know they can trust that you're going to be instruction. And it's kind of the same thing that
Yeah.
you're coachable. They can lead you into, and they really are trying to find the best match for the people that are searching. So if nothing else, they know that you're at least going to respond to them because you're
Yeah,
active
and
on your.
respond to reviews. Those are the big, big things. Respond to every review, good and bad. And that tells Google that you care about your customers, which then means you care about the customer experience.
Fantastic. Such great tips, Marilyn. Thank you so much. And
Well, thank you for having
I
me.
think it would be amiss for me not to ask for the top legal specific tips for ranking higher and for SEO because that is truly your deep down love, I think, is in that realm. Your podcast is involved in all of that too. So what is the best? Give us just a quick few tips for people starting their legal career and they're opening their own practice.
Services, make sure that you list every single service. And if you're in like something like estate planning, those are products as well. So use those new features, right? Do you do trusts? Do you do probate? Do you do, guardianships? Everything you do, list everything out. You'll tell it's the best way to get Google to know what you do. And then it would be a good idea to have a corresponding page on your website that talks about each one of those things.
Yes.
So don't just say on services and list all your services. No, you want a page that talks about each individual service and mention your city name or your county name, whatever's significant for your practice. Yes, you're barred in the entire state, but most attorneys don't work statewide. They work within their county or 4 or 5 counties. So be specific in your keywords.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much, Marilyn, for coming on the show. What is the best way? Now, we know how to find your book. What's the best way for them to find out more about the services you offer specifically and find your podcast?
Absolutely. So on my website, lawmarketingzone.com, you can find all of our services, our new FAQs that are being updated every week. The podcast is linked there. We're also on Apple Podcasts, and we just recorded the first episode today. So very excited.
Hey,
We crossed
congratulations.
the 100 episode last week. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn, Marilyn Jenkins, Law Marketing Zone.
Fantastic. I will link to all that stuff in the show notes, everyone. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions about Marilyn's stuff, you can find it in the show notes. As always, you can find out more about me and my services on our website, dealswithheels.com. Until next week, everyone, we're out.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.